If you know any of these guys and you want to learn more about learning 5's, then you can make sure to check us out on the website, on the staff list, as well as our website, learning5s.com. We'll have some more moderators put that into chat, so guys, drop that down now so people can start filing in and figuring out exactly what they want to do with all the learning growth by growth, all the learning 5's programs. Thank you guys so much for coming and checking us out. This hit has been an SS Events production. Learning 5's show match. We are going to be live again Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. 11 a.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central European Summertime for the EU Learning 5's show match. That's going to be great. That's going to be awesome. And then we'll do that every week for the next 5 weeks as the teams are going to play together. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. Thank you guys so much for showing up. I was your host, Bill Jump Carter, and I had my co-caster, Joshua Piscator Lee. Thank you again so much and have a good night.
To make it, but we got there somehow. You spend the time to get your girl on just right, and I hope you on the door so it can last us the night. You knew where I would be, and you followed my eyes when we got through. You knew I would be by your side. You used the magnet in your smile, and after we spoke for a while, I knew that we would be riding. Just now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Coach's Corner, where we learn how to stun our opponent on solo queue, hosted by Summoner School event. Here with me today, I have first-time Draven. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me back.
No problem. You are in for a hell of a show here, as we have sort of a in-tandem show with the Learning 5's stream here. So the first part of our show will be going over that first game of the Learning 5's show match, where we will be analyzing the ADCs in that game and some strengths and weaknesses that went on there. And then we will transition into our replay that we usually do and the system that we usually do with first-time Draven, where he is going to be going over shot calling from the ADC position and what happens sort of when your team doesn't start out on the greatest foot and how to sort of bring yourself back into that game. And lastly, we will be ending on some Q&A from Twitch chat. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into that first game of the show match, shall we? Alrighty. So, Draven and I were watching that game live and have written down a lot of notes and a lot of times for this game, so we will probably be skipping around quite a lot here. So I'm at 5 seconds here, and I'm going to go ahead and start up the game. Alright?
Yeah.
Alrighty, starting it up. So, as we saw in that game, it was one hell of a match with one hell of an ending. But as we load up onto the Rift here, Draven, why don't you just talk a little bit about the matchup and just how it might play out, this Jinx-Tristana matchup.
So it's definitely like a skill-based matchup in terms of how it's supposed to go. But Braum is such a strong presence lately that it should swing towards Tristana's favor, because Jinx and Tristana are pretty similar champions, with the exception of an escape and disengage from the Tristana. So it's pretty much a skill matchup, unless the Braum just absolutely destroys everybody, which is pretty likely.
So, as you said, Braum being a pretty strong pick, especially right now.
Yeah.
You know, was there a way that you think the Tristana could have played this matchup in conjunction with that Braum to potentially have snowballed her a little bit further into this match? She got behind quite a bit, especially with that 2-0 in the top lane for that Jinx. Is there anything that maybe she could have done a little bit better, just before we analyze any specific points?
Yeah. Well, they do pull a lane swap in this game, which I think is really smart by the Thresh and Jinx, because they'll definitely have an easier time against Yasuo and just completely bully him out. And Tristana should be extremely in a good position against the Gnar solo with the Braum roaming. So theoretically, she should be able to push out the Gnar, outfarm him immensely, and just completely keep him out of the game, and escape from any gank. Like, it's Tristana. She's got so many disengages.
So unfortunately, that doesn't quite pan out the way you had mentioned. Now, so we're going to see, as you said, the lane swap coming in here. We have Tristana and Braum in the bot lane, and Jinx and Thresh in the top lane. Now they're going to be going against this Yasuo when he ends up coming up here. Explain to me a little bit about that 2v1 and sort of what goes into that compared to the Gnar Tristana solo lane, if you will.
Gnar isn't fantastic at 2v1 lanes, but Yasuo just gets demolished by them. So Gnar will do fine solo against Trist, but he just can't really farm very well. And also, blue team did a much better 2v1 swap here in regards to how they push the tower. Top lane did the freezing strategy, where it's just basically just take the tower early and deny as much as you can. But the Braum completely raided their jungle and just made it so worth towards the pushing strategy.
Yeah,
so it was really smart.
That Braum
was really good. And like I said, it's Braum. As soon as Lee Sin seen Braum come up, he just left, even though he's like 100% HP.
So we're going to go ahead now.
He's got the good harass here, by the way, with the E on the tower to hit the Gnar.
Absolutely. And
that's also smart.
That Gnar is going to come teleport down here, and we're going to see actually the Braum, I believe he goes back to then go top lane to help this Yasuo out. But before we get into that, talk to me a little bit about how this Tristana, again, I know you mentioned it a little bit, should be playing out this Gnar lane, because as you said, she should be able to bully, and she should be able to get out of anything, and we do see early, she does a pretty decent job of that, and she's keeping up in CS, she's doing everything that she needs to be doing, but we will focus on it a little bit later, but just right now as we see the Braum transitioning up in the top lane.
So Tristana should be able to zone out the Gnar rather than push him in. Gnar can CS into the tower really easily, and him having 13 CS right now is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Like, even just getting close to that area, it's just unreasonable. He should have like 3 or 4 at most. But she's just pushing him in and letting him get free farm, where she should be denying, and she's tanking all the boomerangs she wants.
Absolutely, and we're going to transition now here into the top lane where we see this Jinx and Thresh get the double kill on this top lane. So walk me through a little bit about how this goes down.
So the point of Braum rotating top lane to help Yasuo is so that he can farm safely and efficiently until he gets his power spike at level 6, which is when they'd like to get the fight. But instead of that, they engage at level like 4 when they thought they were stronger. But the Thresh Jinx is way stronger than the Yasuo Braum at level 4 because they don't have any real CC other than a knockup and maybe a stun if you can get in range.
Yeah, and so unfortunately that goes down. And now if we look into the bot lane, we're going to see Gnar actually jump onto Tristana as she backs out and doesn't get those auto attacks onto Gnar, as well as eats a boomerang. So now tell me how this ends up playing out, because as you said, she should be bullying, but now she's chunked down pretty hard.
Yeah, so she got out-potioned big time and just harassed as a AD carry against somebody much lower range than her. I think it's just poor positioning in the lane and not understanding how to trade against a solo top laner. Like, she should be very safe against him. Hitting a boomerang on Tristana, she should be away from the minion waves so that he can't, like, hit her while he's CSing them.
Right.
But she just likes to get hit.
Yeah, not a whole lot to that. Unfortunately,
she autos minions over the Gnar, too.
Yeah, not dodging the skill shots and not proccing those bombs, I guess you could say. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, we are going to be jumping around quite a bit, so as this game did go pretty long. So we're going to go to our first jump point here at 9:50. So I'm going to go ahead and get there, and I'll prep the situation for you guys.
I'm good to go whenever.
Alright, 1 second here. So I'm at 9:52. Alright, you ready?
Yep.
Alright, I'm going to play it right now. So what happens here is a little bit of a misplay on Tristana's part. She misses the auto on the Braum passive, and instead ults away when she could have gotten the kill. So talk me through this.
So she could have even possibly gotten the kill if she decided to go for the third auto instead of the ulti. And then she would just chain in the fourth, because Thresh wasn't even like winding up for an auto attack, so she didn't need to ulti him away from her.
Right.
So if she got that fourth auto into an ulti, it is very likely that he was dead. Because the Braum passive actually does a lot more damage than people think. And if she got the kill off, she would have reset her W and just left.
Right.
Instead, she just gets killed by the Jinx rocket.
So unfortunately that puts Jinx 4-0 in this game, and as we've all watched the game, we do know how that ends up turning the game as she picks up quadra kills and triple kills throughout the game. So, you know, I think the lesson there is just, if it sort of seemed like almost like a panic ult for no reason, and if could have maybe played it a little bit calmer, could have picked up the kill. So we're gonna now jump to the 16-minute mark here.
There ain't no more AP Trist ulties, man.
Yeah. So
I'm ready whenever.
Gonna go to I'm gonna go to 15:56 here.
Oh yes, this.
All right. So before I play here, I'm gonna prep this. So, Tristana here is coming back in the lane at half HP. Now she's gonna end up jumping into the super fed Jinx, and then I want you to walk me through this. All right, you ready to play the clip?
Yep, go ahead.
All right, let's do it.
So Tristana jumps in for God knows what reason, get a last hit on caster minion, which she doesn't even get. She tanks one crit because Jinx was feeling generous, I guess, and didn't want to kill her. And then somehow dodges the ulti. And using your escape mechanic, your only escape mechanic on a AD carry is like, it's something you should never be doing. You don't know who's in the lane, who's in the bush, who's going to jump on you. Your tower's almost dead, and you're just going to instantly jump into her when you have half HP. It's not acceptable, especially when she's 8-0.
Right.
Like, she could have easily just two-shot Tristana.
And I didn't introduce you at the beginning, but this is first-time Draven. He's usually hovers in around the top 5 Draven players in the world and a Diamond 1 AD carry main. So just to give a little perspective on who's giving the advice here, we got an extremely talented AD carry. And as you mentioned, you would have gone up and probably ended up taking that kill. So,
oh yeah,
you know,
I would have been right there.
Almost a misplay on both parts there. Missed
I'd
that
say
on a
so.
kill, and sort of a interesting jump in there from Tristana. So we're going to actually move in here. We can actually let the clip roll. So Tristana's going to go ahead and try to catch this turret out in rotation. However, she has no vision and overstays, so you're going to have to step me through what should have happened here.
Yeah, so they decided to give up the dragon for a potential tier 2 tower. And Tristana's half HP, she's been tanking it for some reason, and just doesn't respect anything the Gnar has to throw out. And he just jumps up, he has Mega Gnar charged up, which you should never even be around to fight with. Like, that's just horrifying. And then he just does Gnar things on Tristana, and she pays the price.
Gnar
just poor
things were done.
positioning. Exactly. She's too far up, not respecting their team, and just didn't pay attention.
And as we can see, there's just no wards in this jungle, no idea when they were going to
Yeah.
rotate back to that turret. And
No reason to push that.
yeah, so, alright, so again, just little things here at this game. I know we're zipping through this, however, again, it was a long replay, so we're just trying to hone in on either those points that turned the game, or a point that could be learned from either side, and maybe some common mistakes here. So we're going to now jump to 22:30, and we'll again prep that situation here. So I'm at 22:25, let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready to go.
Alright, so before I start here, this is when, let me see here.
Prepping for a Baron here, Lee Sin decides to try and solo it
So,
before his team gets there.
so Tristana's off to the side here. Maybe she had just gotten the turret, I'm not sure. Either way, chunked down and not with the team, and I'm going to roll the clip here right now, starting now. And so yeah, walk me through what happens here.
So Tristana's half HP from just pushing the lane, I guess. Lee Sin dies to Baron. Tristana walks straight up into the Gnar and Orianna, two of the scariest people on the enemy team. Decides to try and melee range auto the Orianna, and just gets like ultied into
Death.
Q and into death. Like, there was no good play there. She did not use anything correctly. Just got murdered for it. She could have even swung that entire fight for her team if she had played that correctly and just waited, or even looped around to the other side. But instead, she decided to walk right into the two threats.
And again, this is we're not trying to
not trying to
bash
DM.
any of these players. It's simply just from a more experienced mindset, trying to understand what happened and what could have happened in order to swing that play a different way. And unfortunately, this Tristana was set behind pretty hard early, so there are probably going to be more plays surrounding the Tristana, as again we're coming at this from an 80 carry angle. So again, we're not trying to bash anyone, just trying to understand what happened in the play and maybe offer a different solution. So
I do this stuff myself. It's so cute.
yeah, exactly. So believe
But
me,
I'm
nobody's
usually a
immune.
lot more fed.
Yeah. So at this point, again, we can just analyze the game. An 0-4 Tristana against a 9-0 Jinx. A little bit
Down 40
pretty
CS.
underfed, pretty underfarmed as well. So we're gonna transition this now into a play by Jinx at 27:30. Now this is one of those plays that I feel happens at every elo, and just sort of not respecting the enemy opponents. I'm actually at 27:16 here. Let me know when you're around there.
I'm ready to go.
Alright, so I'm going to play the clip and again walk me through what happens here.
So they have no vision near their blue. They've got their Thresh there and Orianna, so I guess Jinx feels really confident in where her position is. But again, this is Braum we're talking about. He will just mitigate all of your damage, slow you, CC you, and everybody will follow you up and pick their 100 and 0. So she could have probably lived if she didn't serve her flash there. That's another problem a lot of AD carries have, is they play it either too safe, too greedily, or they're too conservative with their summoner spells. If you feel like you're gonna die, get the hell out.
Yeah, especially when you're 10-1 and most of the
Yeah.
damage on your team, right?
And you're worth a lot of gold. Like,
Yes,
that
exactly.
just gave Victor 500 gold for no reason. You gain nothing from that.
Right. So unfortunately, just a little bit of positional error, not respecting the Braum. You always have to be aware of your threats as an AD carry specifically, and unfortunately sort of judge that situation incorrectly. As we now jump to 29 minutes, where we see the Yasuo come up with a pretty big play here. Catches Jinx sort of in transition. I'm at 29:52. Let me know when you're around there.
Good to go.
All right, I'm going to play this clip, and again, oh, actually, oops, I'm at 29.52, not 28.52. 1 second here.
28.52, yeah.
All right, I'm at 28.54. I'm going to start it up, right?
Go ahead.
All right, so here we see Yasuo
They were doing a
and Jinx
chase
at the top
here.
here.
And they had vision in the correct area for where they were chasing, but Jinx and Thresh decided to split off, and they split off too far, I guess, and they just got caught by a Yasuo Q, both of them. And it was just really well played by them, like a really good pincer. And just completely swung that fight. Got them a bunch of gold, a bunch of map presence. They can get a bunch of vision off that, secure the Baron.
And especially as the red team, too, you have to understand, and you have to know at this point that the only way for the blue team to win a fight here is to get that Yasuo ult onto the Jinx.
Yep.
So when you don't have vision of that Yasuo, when you don't know where he is, especially as the AD carry who's so fragile with the Yasuo that's so big, you know, unfortunately it was more of a good play on the blue side with that pincer move. It wasn't necessarily a huge misplay by the Jinx, however, you know, being aware maybe that, hey, I could be getting Yasuo ulted, or there could be Yasuo flanking me, maybe could have potentially dodged that tornado or been aware that they may have been happening. But again, more of a good play on the blue side, but definitely something to note.
It was a bit of a gamble for both sides as well, because neither of them had vision of that entire area.
Exactly.
It was just a really nice Yasuo Q, and good job to him, because that is not easy to do.
Absolutely here. So we're going to transition now into a little bit of a Tristana split push.
Another one.
So I'm at 31.42. You let me know when you're around there.
I am good to go.
All right, I'm going to play this, and again, step us through what happens here. I'm started.
Let's see. There's a little glitch there. Alright, so they decided to try and split push the bot lane, which is fine. Just the only problem is all of their team is split. Yasuo is split pushing against nobody, which doesn't help as he's their main carry currently. And the frontliners and the main damage source are on their bot lane with no protection. So it just turned into a bad trade. It could have potentially gone well if the Echo had decided to go with either Yasuo or bot lane. So they don't get any inhibitor, they got one turret, which is fine. It's good for a future split, but they're just being, like, complacent here. They could have this game really easily with their fed Yasuo. Just group up, use your comp.
Yeah.
But Tristana isn't a split pusher. Tristana is like... The Tristana is there for siege with the team, not for split pushing.
And at the same time, too, just, again, sort of not respecting that those threats, those really big threats on the team that could kill you as an AD carry. Saw the Gnar bar get to red, didn't respect the ultimate, got Gnarred into the dead turret, into a double kill from Jinx, and talk about another big gold swing into Jinx's hands, who doesn't need any more gold as it is. So
almost on our fourth item. It's crazy.
All right, so again here, now we're actually going to talk about a little bit of a Jinx play here and just a positioning, how she could have better positioned in this fight. Even though it is quite hard, as we're going to go to 3440 here. Okay. We do have the double shields, the Wind Wall and the Braum Shield coming up, but we're going to see here Jinx's positioning. Unfortunately, 3440, leads her to be auto-attacking into a Wind Wall quite a bit here, but I'm at 3434. Let me know when you're around there.
Okay, I'm good to go.
All right, I'm going to roll the clip.
So here they're getting a good siege off in the open inhibitor. Yasuo gets pretty good ulti there. They instantly give 2. Jinx keeps ulting into the wind wall and the Braum passive. I think if she positioned better there and just like positioned around them and tried to hit somebody she could hit rather than nothing at all, it would have done their team a lot better in terms of defense.
And we can see here, even though she's so fed, she wasn't able to get much damage off just because of that wind wall.
Maybe 2 or 3 autos for the fight, but
right.
The amount she should be doing is nothing even close to what she did.
So again, just a potential positioning error. How would you say she could have dealt with that wall there?
I'd say position more to the right, as there was people there other than the Braum and Yasuo on the left.
Right.
And just try to pick off people while you're kiting, dodging skill shots, because they were not on her at all. Like, she was completely safe. I don't think she even got touched once that fight.
No, until they turned
when
on
they
her,
killed her team. Yeah, exactly. Like, she was in a great position to line things up. Even line up some chompers on the right and just kite around. Wind Wall is horrible, so is Braum Wall. That's a horrible combo to face as an AD carry. You have to learn like how to compensate for those issues you're gonna have to deal with.
Right. All right, so we're getting to the last few here. Let's jump to 39, where we see... Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
I'm at 38:58. Before I play here, a little bit of context. We're seeing a siege down mid. The blue team has Baron trying to go ahead and break this inhibitor turret here. And, you know, Baron has a timer. Your team is grouped. You're on their side of the map. This is the time where you got to make things happen. You got to get shit done, as they say, right? And unfortunately, we see Tristana flirting with danger a little bit too hard. So I'm gonna go ahead.
She likes Orianna.
She does. She's you know, we'll see what happens here. But I'm gonna roll the clip now, and I want you to just step me through this and the implications that come from it.
Okay, so basically Tristana's trying to get as much damage as she can. I can understand that, but when you see a ball in front of you, get the hell away from it. That ball has crazy range, and it's way bigger than Tristana's auto is right now. And she just keeps walking up to it, and when Trist gets like dropped to that HP, siege is instantly over. She has to back, and now her team can't team fight when they're the strongest. Like, it's just being complacent, being careless, and not sitting behind your frontliners. You have a team fight comp. Use it.
Yeah.
Don't try and auto people to death in solo fights.
And especially just sort of being on the front lines there, flirting with one of, again, the probably biggest threats on the entire team at this point in the game, the Orianna and her ulti in her ball. So just, you know, playing it safe, especially while you have the advantage and don't need to take a risk, right? Mm-hmm. So, all right, let's jump to 40-40 here.
Okay.
Or sorry, 40. Yeah, no, 40-40.
Okay.
Actually, just gonna times 8 to it really quickly.
You can times 8.
Boom. Okay.
What?
I'm at 40-37.
Alright, I'm good to go.
So this is a fight that I believe Jinx actually plays quite
exceptionally well.
So let's go
she
ahead.
Chases the right
roll.
targets.
I'm rolling the clip here.
Yep. So Jinx basically just cleans house, chases the right targets, and then she turns and lands a sick ulti on the Echo, then kills Tristana from over the wall.
So
it's just really well played.
So earlier in that clip, I guess we were a little ahead, but she kited back, didn't take any massive skill shots like we've been talking about, didn't take any massive threats, and was able to kite around and then eventually use her passive and with a great ultimate to then chase down for that quadra kill. And that's exactly how you want to play. And I know something that we were talking about over Skype is just the fact that Jinx unfortunately sort of had no front line this game until very late into the game.
That was probably the biggest issue this game, actually.
Yeah, so talk to me just very briefly about that and sort of how that affects you as an AD carry and the things that you might need to do to compensate.
So a big problem with this meta is everybody thinks they need damage. Now that it's the Juggernaut meta, like if you look at their Lee Sin and Gnar builds, they have Black Cleaver, Frozen Mallet, and another Black Cleaver. That's useless in this situation because all of your damage is Jinx. You are there to tank for your beefy AD carry. She's 18-2, Lee Sin's 2-8. Who's he gonna be killing? Just build a Randuin's, like a Frozen Heart would be huge this game against a Yasuo, Echo, and Tristana, all of which are like attack speed based characters. But nobody decides to itemize against their team. They could have had this like handily if they just built tanky.
So
everybody wants to be the carry.
Not everybody can be the carry. Only Jinx can at 18-2 and 7.
Yeah, especially for the Orianna too. If you have a tanky frontliner that jumps in with the ball, and you just blow everybody up.
Yeah, unfortunately,
they can't damage them enough.
Lee Sin was getting blown up a little bit too fast to even be able to potentially even have that opportunity. So
yeah.
All right, so let's go into our second to last little stoppage point here at 43-40.
Okay.
I am at 43-32. So this was, before I started here, I'm at 43-32. This was an interesting little chase and roundabout.
Yes.
I'm going to have you just sort of go on this one, because I think this one bothered you the most. So I'm going to go ahead and play the clip at 43-32 right now.
Okay. So they catch out Thresh, kill him for free. At 44 minutes in the game,
3 inhibitors
and they have 3 inhibitors down, if you catch one person, in my elo, we just say GG. That means it's over. You have to 4v5 at the very latest part of the game, but instead, Tristana decides my KDA is really bad, and I need to kill that Lee Sin to like flex my EP. Which, I mean, I understand that entirely.
Who doesn't, honestly?
Absolutely. So she decides to chase almost all the way to their base, which could have resulted in them ending the game if she decided to like, go hard on them instead. Because it's 4v5, it's free. But she's chased for almost 40 seconds. By the time they get to like a pushing position, the Thresh and Lee Sin are almost up. So it's being complacent again. It's pushing the game too long to the point where they like, have hard times. This game could have been 20-25 minutes pretty easily with that Jinx.
Absolutely. And we're going to go ahead now to that last fight at around, I'm going to go to 45. Actually, I'm going to go Moly Baron replay.
Yeah,
Crazy beast. I'm going to go, well, if it'll let me. Alright, Mr. Baron replay. Alright, I'm at 45-57, right as this fight is about to break out. Let me know when you're around there.
Alright, I'm ready to go.
Alright, and so in this, before I start, this is a very good fight by the red team. We see Tristana lagging a little bit far behind, and we're also going to see Tristana again sort of be a little bit out of position, be a little bit too far up for how many threats are on that team and how many cooldowns weren't burned yet, and we're going to see her get burned as the outcome here. So I'm going to play this clip and let you talk through it here.
Alright, so if you look where Tristana was compared to the rest of her team, she's one of the only players on her team with a disengage, and she is way further up than anybody else. That is the wrong place to be at the wrong time. So the blue team ended up missing a bunch of ultis, which resulted in the red team going for the big engage. But Jinx actually made a misplay here, and she chased Braum into her red jungle instead of chasing straight down mid where she could have had Yasuo and stopped his recall. But since she didn't chase after the Yasuo, he got a free teleport into their base and just ended the game.
And just like that, with that exciting finish, let's be honest, it was a pretty awesome end to that game.
It was. I liked it. I laughed.
That was our standpoint. That was first-time Draven standpoint on some of the AD carry positioning errors in that game, maybe some of the strengths, some of the weaknesses that went on during that game. We watched that game live. We had a lot of discussion, but I think those were a lot of the major points. Now, feel free to hang around now as we get into first-time Draven's replay as he teaches us how to shot call from the AD carry position, as well as, you know, sort of transition the game from a completely lost game, which it looks like early, into a very powerful powerhouse of an ending. So let us load that game up right now, shall we?
I'm ready.
I'm not. Alright. So as I get this up right here. Oh my goodness. Alright, so we're loading in here. We're going to have a Vayne Blitzcrank lane versus a Draven Janna lane. I'm almost in the game here. And another Yasuo.
For anyone that was watching my first lesson on the show, you will know how I feel about Draven Janna and how strong I believe it is. And you'll also probably know what Draven can do to a Vayne in the first 6 levels, I'd say.
And we are definitely going to see that here. I am finally on the Rift here. I'm at 1 second. You ready to play this thing out?
Ready to go.
Alright, so I've started the game, and as we load onto the Rift, as usual, let's go over some runes masteries and, as we mentioned, the matchup.
So, matchup's pretty lenient towards Draven, as Vayne has a really, really hard time CSing under tower, and I'll just keep pushing her into it. And Blitzcrank basically has to be an ungodly Blitzcrank to beat us, as we have lots of disengage, we have lots of safety in our lane, and they can't trade with us, because it's Draven Janna. She shields me, and I just destroy her. And the runes I run for Draven this game are 8 attack damage in the reds, 9 armor yellows, 6.7 MR in the blues, and then the rest attack speed blues and attack speed quints. So basically 16% attack speed. Because I'm going to be looking to get as many autos as I possibly can in as little of time. There's 2 different rune pages I actually run on Draven. and they're very situational. But in this one, I'm going to be looking to dominate.
Because who
Gonna be
doesn't like
looking to-
dominating?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's my favorite thing to do on Draven. That's probably the reason I play him.
So
Just see how much I can crush people.
we're gonna see this Blitzcrank be a Blitzcrank. Try to sort of jerk around with you guys here. Vayne Draven. We're gonna see this play out here in just a second. However, I think. Well, talk to me again quickly about how dominating you guys can be, and also this Gromp start, and how that plays into the sort of how that snowballs sort of your bullying into lane.
Okay, so starting Gromp as any side really is extremely beneficial. It gets you that early EXP and allows you to dominate your lane as soon as possible. If your enemy laner doesn't get that like Krug or Gromp start, they're going to be behind the entire lane. And it's just going to be hard to deal with. So our Skarner actually smites our Gromp and then prepares for the double jungle. Now my Janna helps me for the entire time with the Gromp and then rotates over and deals with Blitzcrank, which is extremely smart. I got the level 2, so Janna didn't get any experience. She's supposed to share with me, but she wasn't close enough. So they end up taking Blitzcrank's flash here. I go to bot lane, and now I can establish my dominance with an early level 2. I'm lower HP than she is, but she knows completely well what I can do to her.
That's right, ladies and
So-
gentlemen. 2 axes up with
Yep.
Draven, and mind you, his name is First Time Draven. So if I was that Vayne, I'd be scared as well. And we're gonna see here just how dominating you can be, especially with that Janna shield adding the AD here. So talk me through just sort of the little nuances of what you're trying to do here in terms of
Yeah.
zoning her out as well as getting that farm
So I always want to keep a decently sized minion wave as I'm facing Blitzcrank.
and BM.
So yeah,
That's
exactly.
a very
Lots
key part.
of BM.
Very
all of
key
it.
part, as we see here. If you don't do that, I mean, honestly, you should probably leave now, because that is one of the most. If you're going to take anything away this game, make sure you spam your emote. We saw that a lot too in the show matches, so I'm glad they've learned. They've learned.
I believe in the theory that if you're brave enough to BM your opponent's going to be scared of you. So
And
that doesn't
frankly,
happen all the
they
time.
are.
But I think this Vayne was very scared of me. I established I want to hurt her every time she goes for a CS. Like, she's standing way the hell back. And Vayne has a really hard time CSing under tower early levels, especially with Blitzcrank there to not help her. Because I am very safe against Blitzcrank hooks most of the time. And with Janna's shields, I just chunk her for half her HP in 2 autos. So she has to sit way the hell back, drop her CS. Blitzcrank goes for a questionable hook. I know it's down now, and now I can go for even more hook, like a harass.
Yeah, and I
So
think,
never waste your hooks. when
yeah, I was
you're
about to say, I
facing
think that's an
somebody.
extremely important point too. Is just those little windows of opportunity cannot be overlooked, especially this early in the game, because that cooldown, not only is it probably like 8 or 9 seconds.
It goes up to like 15 seconds in the first few levels.
Okay,
It's
so
really long.
15 seconds plus the mana usage too. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, that's a pretty detrimental skill to have down, especially when you've already established your dominance, you've already established your BM, you know. So again, you're shoving the lane here, and now you did touch on it a little bit, but go ahead and just again explain what you're looking to do here by shoving the lane.
So the more I shove the lane, the safer I feel personally, because the less CS she has, the less likely she is to try and duel me or carry the game. So when she's under the tower, I have more options to dodge hooks, as I know what to look for, and I'm not trying to focus on my own CS. And she can't really last hit early levels. She doesn't have enough AD. So I just continue to BM, continue to CS push her under. Janna goes to ward at a great time.
So now I do want to touch on something here. Riven just got a double kill top lane. The enemy Riven just got a double kill top lane, and we're actually going to skip here in a minute. But
Yep.
the Ahri actually at 10 minutes is also 2-0. So you're facing a 2-0 Ahri, a 2-0 Riven. Not to mention, nobody on your team is doing well, particularly. However, if we do see now, you've doubled Vayne's CS. You haven't gotten any kills, but that's sort of besides the point. Talk to me about how that sort of shapes the next portion of the game for you, and what this means for you as the AD carry, seeing
Okay.
what just happened on the map.
So when I see an enemy laner get a double kill in lane, they instantly become a permanent threat in my mind. that like instantly makes me sharp. I'm like, okay, I need to watch out for this. When Riven has a double kill, I'm like, crap. That's going to be a problem. If she's like out there looking for me, and I know I'm the strongest one on my team, I always have to be watching for people. So when people start to get fed on the enemy team, you got to play a little differently. Whereas usually I'd rotate, go for aggression. Now I got to rotate, protect my team, and look for kills where we can get them. Play to our team comp strengths and not get carried away with things.
Yeah, and we're going to see you do that here. So if you don't mind, let's transition to that 10-minute mark.
Yep.
And I'm actually going to pause it at 10 minutes so we can sort of explain a little bit as to what's going on here. I'm at 10:02 here.
Okay.
All right, so I'm paused at 10:02. So to fill you guys in, not a whole lot's happened other than Ari's 2-0 and the Riven's 2-0, which are fantastic when you're in a mobile AD carry like Draven. In fact, it's one of the better situations that could ever happen. So this is the point in the game where things can snowball pretty hard, and in fact they do, not for you guys. But as we see on the map here, we have Vayne pretty pushed in. You've actually taken the bot tower. You are almost double Vayne CS. You're very much ahead on gold. However, the rest of your team, 0-2, 0-1, 0-1, not doing particularly well, and Blitz has decided to roam all over the map. So I'm going to go ahead and play the clip right now.
Okay.
And I want you to step me through what your thought process is here.
So I have my BF sword, and I push my Vayne in. So Vayne has to sit back and relax and try and freeze to catch up on as much CS as she can. I see they're kind of fighting in our top side jungle, and I haven't seen them rotate down bot much, so I've got a pretty good feeling this isn't warded. So I get the scuttle first, and I know I'm strong enough to do dragon, so I decide, you know what, I'm the jungler now. I will solo this dragon. I keep the scuttle just in case I need an escape route. That speed up is going to really help when I pop my W. So I just try and catch all my axes, get like a triple axe, quadruple axe juggle going on, and just DPS the dragon down while nobody even cares. Like, Vayne doesn't check, she's busy with her freezing and getting the Krugs. Get the dragon for free, establish more like presence for my team.
And that's sort of the decision making, I think, while your team is behind, that can truly snowball your team back into the game. And we'll actually see here at the end of the game, that first dragon ends up playing a pretty crucial point in this game as it progresses, and we're going to see Vayne be extremely cheeky here, run up into the bush, and I cannot believe you don't get the kill on this, but unfortunately comes very close, but she does get you there.
I deserve that 100%.
Yeah.
That was me being greedy. I was like, what are the odds she stayed? I don't know, low? I was like, I figured she backed to try and get some attack speed, but she's seen I was kind of low, she snuck around in the bushes and then jumped me. And she just barely won when I was like 40% HP, so that's a sign of things to come, I guess.
I suppose so. Now, if we just quickly take a look at the gold here, we're going to see that you're at around 4,000 gold to Vayne's 3,300. You haven't cashed in yet, so we still have that to look forward to.
It'll be a lot different.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be a lot different, but we do see, however, that you are still extremely far ahead on CS. The rest of your team is still continuing to do quite poorly. And the gold is starting to swing, and it's 6-1. And now I think we've all been in this situation in a solo queue game, and it's sort of where your head starts to go down, especially when you're this AD carry. You're 0-1-0, but that death was a little bit, whatever, it happens, I guess. But you're still like so far ahead of your lane opponent, and you look up and you're just sort of almost depressed at what's going on around the map. So talk to me a little bit. I want to know two things. Here, you actually back away here, and I want to know, I want to highlight that. And then after that, talk to me a little bit just about mindset. So first, let's talk about this.
So this is one of those games where both your solo laners are bitching at each other and just getting more and more upset about the events in the game. Skarner's not really having any presence. He's got 1 kill participation and 2 deaths. So I'm not really talking too much. I'm thinking, like, you know what, guys? I think we're strong enough to win this in our team fights at Dragon. So we've got the first Dragon. If we keep contesting them, we do have like a team comp built for fighting at Dragon. So just stick to it. And I'm trying to shot call. I'm trying to like help people out, trying to rotate. My Janna's making questionable rotations, that's fine, and I've decided, I'm like, now is the time for me to like fully help people. Like, I'm starting to get strong. Skarner gets a good flash ulti, and I cash in on it.
And that's
I communicated that I really needed to cash in.
Yes, talk to me about that now. Talk to me about what it really means for you to cash in, especially having all of that CS and being potentially the only one on your team right now that's definitely doing better than your lane opponent.
So cashing in, I had, I think I almost had 200 stacks there. So it was like a 400 or 500 gold kill. So basically that means I have like a much stronger presence in terms of rotations. And Vayne won't even come close to me at this point. Like if she does, she'll just get murdered. I think she actually tries to right here. But cashing in on the early game kills is very important. Snowballing Draven is very different from any other AD carry. The amount of damage you can output is absolutely like ludicrous. You can actually one-hit people in like 25-minute games. It's terrifying.
Absolutely, and we'll see that Vayne doesn't come up to, most likely due to the BM that, you know, you started off early in the game, establishing your dominance, but in all seriousness, actually, she is respecting you. You have established that dominance, and she knows that she should not screw with you, even though, you know, she's actually been more or less shut down herself. She does have a kill. She's not terribly far behind, but...
Vayne's like the duel a lot, so
true.
Always watch out for that.
Very true. So, we're going to see here now, you guys are going to go ahead and get into a little bit of a fight coming up here, and you're gonna do quite well in this fight, but your team isn't necessarily going to. So talk to me about what's coming up here, sort of step me through it, and how that'll affect the rest of the game, and obviously specifically you.
You're at like 15 minutes right now, right?
Yeah, 15:50 or 14:50. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just ulti to clear the minion waves so that they couldn't take our tower. First tier mid lane turret is very vital to rotations and your warding. If it's up, they can't really rotate on you too hard. You still have quite a bit of like safety. So I'm going bot lane to try and secure this tower and maybe try and duel Vayne, see if she wants to try her luck. I know I'm a lot stronger even though she's a level up on me. So I go for my combo. I see the teleport comes in, I get the hell out. I do not trade kills. My teleport comes in, it doesn't help me much. I know Riven can't really engage on me. And so right here, we don't have Orianna, they don't have Ahri. What should be happening right now is Ori should be rotating down to help us. Yasuo gets a pretty good combo there. And he lowers the Vayne's HP quite a bit. And then they hard engage on me, i.e. the Jarvan away from me. They go for a hook, I dodge it. Jarvan's running away. If we had Ori right here, we would be absolutely fine. But we don't. So I try to trade as much as I can. I kill the Riven. That's fine. My closest target of focus. I kill the Blitzcrank who's also chasing me. Now I'm like, wait, where'd my team go? I'm 1v3, I'm like, maybe I'll try and trade on Vayne. I can't outrun these guys. I end up dying for it. And I explained to Ori, sorry. I'm like, Ori, if you were there for that fight, we could have won it, but it's whatever you're pushing. She does not believe she could have got there in time, even though Ahri was almost at the exact same spot as her. So I just try to keep my head back in it, explain to Ori, like, we got to be there for the next fight. Like, they get almost an ace on us and 2 free turrets. Yeah. So now it's 14-4, down 5k.
Not exactly the best fight, no. I guess the best outcome, but you did get a couple kills there. You're still extremely relevant in terms of damage. And again, so you're sort of transitioning yourself into not only the carry, but the shot caller here, as you're sort of the one that can dictate these fights. You're the one that can come in and actually do damage. So we sort of previously talked about your role in the team as of now, but talk to me about sort of how you plan on getting back into this game, how you plan on taking control, maybe baiting out a fight, things like this.
So one of the key to a team fight composition isn't getting the wombo while you're pushing turret. Most of it is regarding dragon fights, because a lot of people group up for dragon fights, and it's usually a pretty like tight enclosure. So I'm explaining to people, I'm like, we need this dragon. Like, this should be ours. We are so strong. I am extremely fed, and I will like out DPS their Vayne immensely. So it's basically, I just got to position correctly. Just got to wait it out. I see Blitzcrank walk over, so I walk away. So I don't know if he's going to flash hook me. I got to stay the hell away from that guy. So we try to position for this rotation on the dragon. Get some damage in where I can. Feel confident I can dodge things. Vayne walks up. I just get 2 autos in. Not too greedy, not overcommitting. Just trying to explain to my team, I'm like, listen, I can do damage here. We need to use this. So they keep trying to siege. They don't have the greatest siege. They have more of a pick comp, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So now we're going to see you transition into that dragon fight you were talking about. Now, talk me through right here what you're going to do here, potentially baiting this fight.
They just cleared our wards. I see the Blitzcrank's a little out of position. I can tell he's hungry for something, so I'm like, alright, I'm going to walk up and give him what he wants. I flash away from everything so that I'm in the best position possible. And I'm just kiting and trying to kill people from a distance. Dodge as much as I can, get all the DPS I can. The Riven's not able to jump in because she's cut off from my team. And I just do all the DPS as possible. Our carries are completely untouched, as they almost entirely focused our tanks.
Absolutely.
That's where frontliners are so huge and so vital. It's like they keep the enemy team occupied, and we had more damage than they did at that team fight. We just had a very very well placed ulti combo on the Yasuo and Orianna. Riven walks in, tried to do some Riven things, and
as
dies.
most Rivens do.
She's like, I got no ulti, I got no summoners.
I got a good chance at this.
I'm gonna go for the 1v2, and she dies.
Some Riven spotting there, you could say.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
go
so
Gromp on my recall too, just to get as much like EXP and gold per
exactly
second as possible.
doing everything you possibly can to sort of further your snowball into this game. And if we look, I mean, you are at 150 CS. It's definitely respectable, definitely good. You have 5 kills, 2 deaths, 2 assists. You are absolutely in a carry position. Should your team follow up on your calls, or should your team, execute that team comp to the best of their abilities? And now we saw in that fight too. You walked up for that Ari charm.
Yeah,
and I know
a lot of people will do that.
You explained to me a little bit earlier just about knowing your team comp, knowing you had that Janna shield, knowing you had that Ori shield, and just being confident, stepping up as a carry, stepping up as the shot caller, right?
I felt pretty bloody safe both my summoners up, Ori ulti, Ori shield, Janna ulti. So I'm like, if they engage on me and they get close enough to our team comp, they're all just gonna die. As long as I have my summoners up to make that play, I'll make it. I'm willing to sacrifice whatever I have. Even my life. If I have to die for us to kill 2 of them, that's fine. As long as it's something positive in the team.
Right. So, I believe here we're going to soon transition into a Baron call, if I remember correctly.
Let's see.
Could be a little bit off on that, but talk to me now as we sort of start to transition into that mid-game, closing in on that late game, where your calls are starting to be directed, how to make sure your team is collaborating, and as well as, if we look at the gold difference, you guys are still quite far behind, and we're going to re-look at that in a couple minutes here after some of these plays, but yeah, talk to me about that.
So we're not going for any unnecessary plays here. If you can tell, the only time we're making movements is when people are split, people are going to kill our vision, or if we're going for an objective fight. So Yasuo found the Blitzcrank and Vayne split, which is a perfectly fine duo for him to fight. And then we split off the Riven, and she tried to contest our vision, and we were all able to collapse on the Vayne and just get a crazy combo. We killed 2 of them. I'm like, let's Baron. Like, I have the damage, let's do this. We have Yasuo Wind Wall to mitigate the Baron damage, and we have my axe juggling to absolutely demolish the Baron. And everybody peels off the Baron here, which isn't exactly the best call. When you make a strong call like that, you gotta follow through with all 5 people. They have 3 people to contest. If they come into the pit, then we stop the DPS. Not when they're outside of the pit. We don't go to them. We want them to come to us, especially with our comp. Yeah. So I stuck true to the Baron call, and I just DPS'd it down, and they eventually clued in and helped me out.
Yeah, and I think that's also extremely important to note. It's just when you make a call like that, especially when you become that shot caller on your team, when people start to listen to what you're saying and actually gather around your ideas, you have to actually do it. You can't half-ass it. You can't bait your team into doing something and then back out of it, right? Because if you make that call, you got to make it, and you got to live with the consequences. And fortunately enough, you guys did end up getting that Baron didn't get thrown away, and it ended up being an okay situation. But I can't tell you how many times in solo queue as well, you'll see someone ping Baron, your team's all on the right page, and you do that, and unfortunately you do the opposite, and as you said, you go to them, or something like that happens, and everyone's on a different page, and everybody splits up. And how do you sort of, do you have any strategies on just how to make sure your team will stay on the call that you make? Because here it seems like you've been able to sort of gather your team to sort of rally behind you.
So a good way to ensure people don't split off and try to kill people outside the pit is to make sure they're all staying literally inside of the pit. The reason I was comfortable with staying inside of the pit in this team is because they're not a teamfight comp, they're a pick comp. If they come into the pit, we're a teamfight comp. That's where our strength lies. Whereas when we go out to fight them individually, that's where I would say it's okay to do as a pick comp. Like as you see Blitzcrank gets a pick on Orianna here, and we have to engage on it. We have to, no matter what. Because we have to ensure our safety here. Otherwise, if we just let Orianna die and walk away, that's Baron wasted. Right. We get nothing for it.
And again, that decisive shot calling, even in the the worst situations like that, like your AP carry getting hooked in, you guys are still able to be decisive, turn that fight around, and end up still taking towers out of this. I believe you end up getting an inhibitor out of this. So again, this decisive shot calling coming in, and I know some people might be wondering or sort of wary of how much you can really shot call in a solo queue game, but you'd be surprised, especially if you're the one making good calls originally, you're the one that hasn't been feeding or hasn't been giving up kills, how much you can actually rally a team, especially as the AD carry, as the person who's doing the most damage, right?
See, right here, some people are calling to back off, but I keep calling to go back in every time they try to chase us. I'm like, listen guys, we got Baron, we're strong as hell. If they walk up to chase us and try to like get vision on us, because generally, when you're being chased out of the base after taking an inhibitor, people are looking to gain vision or some kind of objective or some kills on you. And when I know I'm stronger and they don't have their entire team, I'm going to keep them back away from me. Which is exactly what I did. Also in that team fight where Orianna got caught, good way to make sure your team knows what's going on is as soon as she got caught, I ultied everybody. They're all lined up. I was like, let's fight. Like, this is the sign that we fight.
Yeah. And that's important too, is knowing, because it's potentially, if you hadn't done that, then everybody would have backed up. But that ult means, hey, we're balls to the wall, we're going in, right? And you know, they were sort of disrespecting your damage there as you guys backed off. You're able to,
absolutely,
you know, sort of chunk them out and make sure that they didn't chase you down. And you were able to establish vision. Now, another thing that I want to just note here, as I said, I would touch back at it. Two things actually. A, you guys are finally up on gold in this game, and two, that win condition of 5 dragons still holds strong. You guys were able to, even in the worst case scenario, when you guys were down 1-6, a shit ton of gold, everything seemed to just be terrible. That Riven seemed to be pretty fed, the Ahri seemed to be pretty fed. You were still able to get that first dragon, which we all know is an extremely important dragon, even early. You know, it still does some percentage of you know, stats. It's obviously not nothing, but it scales into the late game. Yeah, scales into the late game, and now we can see that you're 3 dragons up. You guys were able to turn the game, and now not only do you have you know, the advantage in terms of gold, but you now have a very clear win condition of 5 dragons, and that sort of all stems from that one basic decision early to just say, hey, I can do this, I'm going to do this, you know, and now look at how this has played out, right?
Absolutely. A lot of people don't consider other ways to win a game. People think, I need to kill everybody, push down the Nexus. Whereas in reality, you can be like 10 kills behind and you get a lucky Baron attempt, or you swing the game with 5 dragons and you just clean house. You could be 15k gold behind and you get 5th dragon going for you. It doesn't matter what you're like dealing with item-wise. You have like a huge true damage buff. Especially going into it when you guys are a pretty high scaling team comp. Like, to say the game's over when it's 1-6, I mean, sure, it could have been, they could have snowballed harder, but you guys did make that comeback. So I actually want you to step me through this fight as the shot caller, because we're going to see this fight not go so well for you. So I'm just sort of asking, as the shot caller, what do you do when a team fight doesn't go the way that you had expected this late into the game? We were trying to prioritize targets here, and we were actually talking about it previously. They were asking me if we could dive. I said no, not unless we get Vayne or Ahri. Neither of those things happen. So I'm trying to back off, but I'm like, my team is way too committed. I gotta help them out here. So I try to do as much damage as I can, and unlucky me, everybody steals all. So my team dies for free, I die for free, just trying to back them up. Even though I'm trying to back off. Yasuo is a pretty cool play here. He kills the Vayne pretty handily, and when Vayne's dead, that means they can't push anything.
Right.
So I'd say it was worth.
At least stabilizes.
It wasn't the best fight for us. Yeah. The game is very close at this point as well. Things can definitely go either way.
You can see the gold is about a 1k. It's actually exactly 1k. I mean, for that, you know, 27, 28 minutes into the game, that's a pretty even game right there.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
So, and as we look again here at the gold, we can see you're at around 12.5-ish, and we can still see that Vayne hovering over that 9k mark. So you're just still maintaining that huge advantage that you took from laning phase, took from bullying that Vayne. And so now we're going to see the next fight ends up going even, I think, into sort of a positioning error. No, I guess no spoilers or spoilers. When this happens, I'm going to have you talk me through it again. But until that time, Baron's off the map, Dragon's off the map. Actually, Baron's respawning. But
so I make the call, I'm like, we need to burn this Baron. So we all get close to it, and we've still established targets where Vayne, Ahri. We don't engage unless we have those two people. And I'm trying to stick very close to this Skarner, because as soon as he hooks or grabs somebody, I know I'm like, this is my chance to kill people. And for some reason he hooks Blitzcrank here. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try and back you up on this. And as I go in, he stands still and I get hooked and I just get destroyed.
The ultimate Skarner bait.
Yeah. My team still followed true with that idea of when somebody gets caught, we commit. We have to protect that person or get some kind of wombo combo off. Yasuo has a sick play here. Aggro's the Baron so that it starts hitting Vayne. Knocks her up so she takes 2 hits from the Baron, dies from it. Now it's Orianna Janna versus Blitz Ahri. They should just back off, which they're doing perfectly fine. Nobody can do anything here. There's no dragon, no Baron to take. So just secure vision, walk away, prepare for the next fight.
And again, sort of just a stalemate at the end of that kind of fight.
Yeah.
And again, that idea that your team goes in even when the worst happens was sort of established by you early on in that game, established by you as the shot caller, as well as the damage dealer, and that mentality sort of carried over. And so we can see, even though it's solo queue, even though this is high elo, or talking diamond, 1 and above, it's still something that you can be able to inflict, I guess, or affect your team into a like a common mindset. And we've all seen it happen when you get into those games, either where their team just feels like it's a, you're playing solo queue and their team seems like it's a ranked 5 or ranked 5s and everyone's just so on the same page, or the opposite happens. And that's because when you can establish good communication and establish sort of that same, as you pick up the Scuttle crab.
My Scuttle.
Yeah, it just seems like everything works out a lot better. And we can see that that's sort of how you guys even transitioned into this. So we're going to see another Baron attempt. Step me through how this one ends up a little bit better.
So as you can see, we're all pretty much in the pit. Janna's trying to secure vision and try to let them think we're not doing it. But I know I have the damage to just completely burn the Baron. I stay inside the pit so that nobody can get near me without getting Ori bulbed. So I stay safe, I hang out, I flash out of the J4 ulti so that I can't get condemned into it. I see Blitzcrank walking up to me, I'm like, I don't want to get hooked. I'm just gonna kill that guy. I one-shot the Vayne, killed the J4, now I'm walking after Ahri, and I'm like, I'm gonna time my E, miss it completely. Whatever.
Yeah.
So we ended up killing them both. That was awesome.
So
Very well played by us.
What was sort of the different approach that you took in that fight? Besides not getting hooked, but I mean that goes into the approach.
So during the previous fight, I felt a bit too confident, and due to that confidence, I got absolutely murdered. So this time, I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay way the hell back and only use my flash if I'm completely trapped. So I stayed back, hung out, used my flash when J4 ultied me, as he kept saving it for me, and just completely destroyed Riven, destroyed Vayne, destroyed Blitz, and just let my team do as much damage as they could while they're trying to get to me.
So again, we're gonna transition here into another dragon, and
Another dragon.
That is the
We're doing an
fourth
on
dragon.
spawn too.
On a spawn. So we're now at 4 dragons. You guys have Baron. You guys want to fight. However, we have seen that you can lose fights. It's not like you guys are just steamrolling them. Again, as the shot caller, as the guy in charge, as first-time draven, how do you communicate that to your team? Like, hey, team, we have 2 options. We have Baron, let's push. We also have the 5th dragon. How do you get everybody on the same page, knowing the win conditions that you guys have?
I like to use a lot of keywords when I'm talking to people, and I only talk to people when I'm walking somewhere that's safe, or when I'm like way behind enemy lines, or safe in my base. So one of my favorite things to do when people are looking to do an early Baron is I'm like, let's burn Baron, like not do Baron, burn it, and that makes people go, we could probably kill really fast, couldn't we? Yeah, all right. So they do it, and it almost always works for me. I have very good Baron calls generally. And now I'm just like, alright, Baron's down, mid's cleared, bot lane is the best lane to push when Baron is down. As there's no objectives to rotate to the top. I know Riven's TP is down, so I'm like, this is perfect to push. She has to back, and by the time she backs, we get a free turret, maybe even 2. So she backs, we push hard, securing vision as we go, so that it basically plans out our escape route. He hooks Janna, which is his probably second worst option, as Janna will just knock everybody up for free.
And Skarner gets the easy ult onto Vayne as well, so sort of a incredibly good fight going your way. And honestly, that Riven sort of out of position, and you guys caught them in transition too. So
yeah, and you notice a lot of people like to BM at their in their fountain and try to get as many kills as possible, whereas I'm like, I'll only BM that when they're trying to kill me. Other than that, like, guys. Like, other than that, I'm on the turrets. I'm here to win. I'm not here to fuck around.
But you're also here to show your mastery of Draven.
Of course. They gotta know it's my first time.
If it's, you know,
Really
it has to
surrender,
be your
take
first
the
time.
win.
All right. So there we have it. We've had 2 separate games. We've had the Learning 5's. We've had Draven's amazing mastery of shot calling, of bringing game back from oblivion. I'm going to scroll up here. At this time, we are going into our Q&A section. It's been quite a long cast. However, we do have definitely enough time for some questions. I realized there were some questions above. I'm not sure if everybody's still watching that ask these questions, but I'm going to go all the way to the top. And I believe this was the 80. I think this was the Jinx from last game, from the Learning 5's match. So he asks, how do you feel about 4 mana regen blues? I started using them on a few 80 carries now, and I use them on every 80 and now I use them on every 80 carry.
I wouldn't use them on every 80 carry. I used to use them a lot on Draven so that I could harass more with my W. But you end up becoming more mana efficient the more you play certain champions. So I think it's good on like casting 80 carries like Ezreal, like Goadon, Corki, Caitlyn even for like the Q harass. Draven I might sometimes. Ashe for the W, like volley harass with the auto combo, that's really good. Even Lucian I might even go it on. But it really depends on your playstyle, what type of champion you're playing. I wouldn't go it on Vayne as you want as much attack speed in your blues as you can while having the magic resist. So I think it is viable. I just wouldn't say for every 80 carry.
Absolutely. Let's see here. Alright guys, I know you have questions. Post them in chat. Here's an interesting one. Which 80 carries can solo Dragon like you did at 10 minutes? That might be a little situational, however.
That's a pretty good question, actually. I like that question. So let me look up marksman so I remember everybody. Okay. So some of the best 80 carries for it would be Ashe, Draven, Graves if you have your support with you, Callista definitely, probably not Lucian, Twitch, Vayne would be able to do it, and I believe that's probably it. Maybe even Jinx, depending on how healthy and strong you are. If you have a BF sword, probably just about every 80 carry can do it. But realize you're going to be low HP when you finish it, and you got to be in a good position to recall.
Alright, hope that answers that question. So, this is a... let's talk about debate here, because this guy's been coming up all over Reddit, all over everything. Let's talk about him. Might as well. So, what do you think of Lucian as an 80 carry right now?
Lucian's definitely middle of the road. I think you pick Lucian into certain comps, into certain lane matchups, and I've been seeing a lot of him in solo queue lately for some reason, and I usually don't have a hard time against Lucian. I don't like playing him personally, as I'm not fantastic at Lucian, even though he's super fun to play. And I think that's more of the reason why people play him, is he's actually enjoyable. He's like a caster 80. He's good for sieging with the ulti, decent wave clear, which is hard to find in an 80 carry. So I think he's alright. I would say between tier 1 and 2, like literally middle of that road. Right down the middle.
What about I'm going to transition that. What about into the best Lucian build as you see it?
Oh man. Lucian can build a lot of ways.
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
seen people build like Trinity Force into like Black Cleaver Lucian, just random stuff. I always stand true with the standardized 80 carry build, which is IE into either PD Shiv, into BT or Last Whisper. But Lucian, you could even build like a IE into Yomu's, which is super strong as you proc your Yomu's, which speeds up your ulti, which does even more damage. So that's solid. Lowers your cooldown, gives you a speed boost. Also great on Lucian, good for kiting. You can even build like Bork, third, fourth, last item. I wouldn't suggest it first or second, but Bork's definitely viable on him as it applies the on-hit for both of his double shots.
Alrighty. Let's transition here into another question. I used to main Draven, but when I lose lane, I feel totally useless. What do you do when you're behind with Draven?
I pray to the solo queue gods that I could cash in. I literally pray. I lean my head down on my keyboard. I'm like, please God, let somebody walk into my turret and just die to me. Sometimes it happens, but no, in all honesty, you keep your head in the game. You don't really have a passive if you don't cash in, it's true. It's a brutal problem to deal with when you're behind. But I try to like stack as many stacks as you can. and look for the easy people to kill. If I see a Vayne and she feels confident in trying to solo me, I'll look for her. I'll try and find her alone. If I find a support warding, find him. I'll roam with my support, roam with the mid lane, roam with the jungler. Somebody who has a catch potential, explain to my team, like, listen, I need to cash in so I can get back into this game. Draven always has a way back in. Always. No matter what you're facing, who you're facing, what items you have, just remember your passive literally gets you back into the game. So just count on staying back, or staying in it. Just don't lose your mindset. If you lose 500 stacks and you're like, fuck this shit, just remember you could stack it back up and get it again.
It ain't over till it's over. Until it's over.
Until you see defeat, then you can go cry about your LP.
Then you can say Draven sucks.
Yeah. Actually, believe it or not, the reason I'm named first time Draven is because the first time I played Draven was the worst experience I ever had with the champion. And that was back when he had his bleed passive, and I was like, how do people play this guy? This is absolute garbage. Catching his axis is hard, and he's too annoying. And now I will play Draven into any single matchup, any single team, no matter what. I'd 1v5 a Draven any day over any champion. But you just learn to love a champion. Learn their weaknesses, learn their strengths, learn how to use them. Goes for anybody.
Alright, let's take a few more questions here and then wrap this stream up. Following on that, Mark, I guess, static versus PD. Classic argument. How do you choose?
Okay. Certain champions do better with static. All champions do better with PD. Tristana, for example, is better wave clear, so if you need wave clear, go static. Jinx, exact same thing. And basically, you want to go static if you're low on gold and low on items and you're trying to catch up. So I almost never go static unless I really do need wave clear and I'm broke as hell. Because PD just gives such better stats now. It got that little, like, 5% buff, and it's just infinitely better. Especially for the late game. It's crazy how much damage you get from that thing. So I say PD all the way.
He's a PD kind of guy, guys. So let's take a few more questions. Here's a pretty prevalent one. What do you think about the rise of Vayne in solo queue?
I fucking love it. Absolutely love it. It's some of the easiest laning for me in the world. I think people get scared of it, believe it or not, like quite a bit. I see a lot of Vayne bans, even like high Diamond 1 Master. And I always tell them, like, listen, leave Vayne open. I got this. But people just don't like the idea of somebody being able to absolutely destroy like a 4k HP, 1,000 armor Rammus and 10 autos. So people are scared of it. I don't think it's as strong as people think. I think it looks good in the LCS because you can build comps around it and you pick it into things. That's why it appears so strong. I think you can shut it down really easily.
Any tips for laning phase, particularly with any AD carry, or maybe if you're going into maybe a bad matchup versus Vayne?
A bad matchup. Okay. I recently had a bad matchup, and it involved me not being able to do anything. But I knew I had a power spike at a certain time. I was a Braum Draven lane against Morgana, who was it? Morgana Lucian or something. And it's hard to deal with that early game. So I tried to rush my level 6 before they did, and as soon as I hit 6, I went in and got a double kill. Then the jungler came down, killed him too. And just look for your optimal positions. Try to realize where your strengths lie. And like, for example, if you're playing Corki or something, you're not going to try and fight people all game. You're going to try for the auto Q combos for the trading, and then look for your mid-game power spike. That's when you roam around, kill everybody because you do ridiculous damage, and just do your thing. Like Tristana, Vayne, your late game is crazy strong. Your Twitch is like great for ganks, great for like surprising the enemy and just blowing people up. And just look for where you're strong. For trading in lane, I always believe in the idea of trading when your enemy seems vulnerable. So if they're going for a last hit, I hit you. I'll sacrifice my CS to beat the shit out of you. I don't care. As long as I'm applying my pressure and you realize you can't get anything for free. So never give anything up.
All right. I'm going to take one more question and then a comment. Actually, I'm just going to... I like the comment. You haven't battled my exhaust Twitch yet, from Twitch is God.
Sounds terrifying.
But anyway, let's take the last question here, as I think it's a pretty good roundabout question. I guess this could be applied for every lane, but in particular AD carries. Do you think I should play the same AD carry in solo queue or pick 3 and adapt to my enemy or my support?
Okay, so back in Season 2, I was silver for a really long time. I played mid lane mostly, played a lot of Ezreal bot lane, then I picked up Draven. I climbed from silver to diamond 1 within 2.5 months, just by exclusively playing Draven. I say if you're going to pick one champion, pick the mechanically difficult one. Because if you pick the mechanically difficult one, and then you move downwards, like down the scale, like you pick up Jinx or something, you'll be like, wow, this is surprisingly easy. Like, I can play this no problem. I don't need to learn anything about this champion to be able to play this. And then it could even scale to different things, like playing Draven helped me play my Callista. Like, catching my axes is a lot like more similar to how you bounce around on the map. It's like, you gotta click in the direction you move, where I always click in the direction where I catch my axe. So I'd say pick champions that are similar to each other. If you're gonna main, like, Caitlyn, I'd main Caitlyn, Jinx, like maybe Varus or something. If you're gonna main, like, main Draven, Callista, and even Vayne if you want. Just, like, go for the hard carries, the strong mechanical champions. Or even if you're a supportive AD carry, just play Ashe Sivir. Just things like that. Pick champions that are similar to each other, but do different things at the same time.
Alright, so there you have it, guys. We've gone over the Learning 5's show match. We've gone over first time Draven's shot calling from the AD carry position. It's been a great stream. I want to give a shout out to the Learning 5's program and everybody over at Summoner School Events. And on that note, thanks for watching Coach's Corner, where we learn how to stun our opponents on solo queue.
And we chased it all night.